I pulled up to my sister's new house in my 12-year-old Honda Civic, and I could already feel her judgment radiating through the towering glass doors. The place was obscene, a modernist mansion in the hills with floor-to-ceiling windows that screamed new money, which was ironic considering it was my money that had helped her get there. "Oh God, you actually drove that here?" Victoria's voice cut through the warm evening air before I'd even fully opened my car door. She stood on her pristine white stone driveway in a cream designer dress, her arms crossed, her lips pursed like she'd tasted something sour. I stepped out, smoothing down my simple black dress. "Hello to you too, Vic." "It's Victoria now, I told you." She glanced around nervously as a silver Porsche pulled up behind me. "Sarah, seriously, you couldn't have Ubered? Or borrowed someone's car? This is embarrassing." The word hung in the air like a slap. Embarrassing. "My car runs fine," I said quietly, heat creeping up my neck. "It's a housewarming party, Sarah. Everyone here is..." According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. She gestured vaguely at the parade of luxury vehicles lining her circular driveway. "You know what? Just give your keys to the valet. Maybe he can park it somewhere out of sight." A young valet in a crisp white shirt approached, and I handed him my keys with shaking hands. I wanted to leave. I wanted to get back in my reliable little Civic and drive away from my sister's marble-floored palace and her newfound snobbery. But I stayed. Because despite everything, she was still my sister, or at least, I thought she was. The party was exactly what I'd expected. A parade of Victoria's new friends, all angles and air kisses, clutching champagne flutes and discussing interest rates and vacation homes. I recognized none of them, not one person from our childhood, from our mother's funeral 3 years ago, from the days when we were actual sisters, instead of whatever this was. I found a corner in the vast living room and nursed a glass of wine, watching Victoria hold court. She'd always been the pretty one, the charming one. I was the sensible one, the reliable one, the one who'd worked 2 jobs to help pay for her college when Dad left and Mom got sick, the one who'd co-signed her first business loan when no bank would touch her. "Sarah!" Victoria's voice rang out across the room. "Come here, I want you to meet someone." I made my way through the crowd of strangers to where she stood with a tall man in an expensive suit. "This is Marcus Chen. He's a venture capitalist. Marcus, this is my sister Sarah. She's what do you call it again? An accountant?" "Financial analyst," I corrected, forcing a smile. Right. Numbers stuff." Victoria waved her hand dismissively. "Marcus was just telling me about his new Tesla, the Plaid model, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. "Impressive," I said flatly. Marcus launched into a detailed description of his car's features while Victoria nodded enthusiastically. Felt like a ghost. "What do you drive, Sarah?" Marcus asked politely. Before I could answer, Victoria laughed. "A Honda Civic from 2013. I actually asked her to park it around back, but..." She lowered her voice conspiratorially, though not nearly enough. "Between you and me, I think she keeps it because she's too attached to let go. Some people can't handle change, you know?" The conversation moved on, but I stood frozen. Too attached? I kept that car because 5 years ago, I drained my savings, the savings I'd been building for my own house, to loan Victoria $50,000 for her tech startup. The startup that had just sold for $8 million. The startup that bought her this house. I'd never asked for the money back. She'd never offered. I escaped to the bathroom, locking the door and bracing myself against the marble sink. My reflection stared back at me, tired eyes, off-the-rack dress, sensible shoes. When had I become someone my own sister was ashamed of? My phone buzzed. A text from my friend James. "How's the party? Has she thanked you yet for making her success possible?" I typed back, "She called my car embarrassing." 3 dots appeared, then, "Get out of there. You don't deserve this." But I stayed. I stayed through dinner, where I was seated at the far end of the table, away from Victoria and her important guests. I stayed through the speeches, where Victoria thanked everyone who'd believed in her mentors, her investors, her team. But not me. Never me. I stayed until I couldn't anymore. It was nearly midnight when I asked for my car. The young valet, his name tag said Daniel, jogged off to retrieve it, and I stood on the driveway under the stars, feeling hollow. When the Civic pulled up, Daniel stepped out, but he didn't immediately hand me the keys. Instead, he stood there, staring at me with an odd expression. "Excuse me," he said carefully. "Are you Sarah Chen?" I blinked. "Yes?" His face broke into a wide smile. "Oh my God, I thought that was you, but I wasn't sure. I'm Daniel Reyes. You probably don't remember me." I searched his face, finding something familiar in his dark eyes. "You helped my mom," he continued, his words tumbling out. 5 years ago, Reyes Family Market, you were the financial analyst who volunteered with that small business nonprofit. You restructured our whole bookkeeping system for free. You spent months helping us. You saved our store." The memory clicked into place. Maria Reyes, a tired woman with kind eyes, and a failing grocery store in a neighborhood the banks had written off. I'd worked with her every Saturday for 6 months, untangling years of financial chaos, finding grants, negotiating with suppliers. "Daniel," I said softly, "you were in high school." "I just graduated college, business degree, because of what you taught my mom, what you taught me." He shook his head in wonder. "We're opening our 3rd location next month. My mom talks about you all the time. You changed." "Our lives, Ms. Chen." Something warm and painful expanded in my chest. I'm so glad," I managed. "Is this your party?" he asked, glancing back at the house. "My sister's." "Oh, cool. Which one is she? I'd love to tell her how amazing you are." I looked at Victoria's mansion, at the silhouettes moving behind the glowing windows, at the world she'd built that had no room for me in it. "Actually, Daniel," I said slowly, an idea forming. "Do you have your phone?" The video went up on LinkedIn on Sunday morning. Daniel had filmed it simply, him in his valet uniform, standing next to my Civic, speaking directly to the camera. "I want to tell you about someone special I met last night," he began. "I was working as a valet, and this beat-up Honda Civic pulled up. People were literally laughing at it. But the woman who stepped out, she's the reason my family still has our business today." He told the story of how I'd helped his mother, how I'd asked for nothing in return, how I'd shown up week after week to teach them what I knew. He talked about how their store now employed 20 people from the neighborhood. He ended it simply. "This woman drives a 12-year-old Honda because 5 years ago, she gave away her savings to help people like us. She didn't do it for credit or recognition. She did it because it was right. Sarah Chen, if you see this, thank you. You're the real deal." Daniel tagged me. He tagged the nonprofit. He tagged the community organizations I'd worked with. By Monday morning, it had 50,000 views. By Tuesday, 500,000. The comments poured in. This is what success actually looks like. Driving a modest car while changing lives. That's a flex. I'll take real impact over fake luxury any day. Local news picked it up. Silicon Valley financial analyst's quiet philanthropy goes viral. They found more people I'd helped. The single dad whose credit I'd rebuilt. The veteran whose benefits I'd helped him navigate. The young couple I'd coached through buying their first home. People I'd honestly forgotten about. Small moments of help that had apparently meant everything to someone. My inbox exploded. Job offers, speaking invitations, interview requests. And then Victoria called. "What the hell, Sarah?" Her voice was shrill. "Do you know what people are saying? They're saying I'm ungrateful. They're saying I used you." I sat in my small apartment, looking out at the city. "Did you?" Silence. "That's not fair," she said finally. "I've worked incredibly hard." "I'm not saying you didn't." "Then why did you do this? Why did you embarrass me?" I laughed, and it came out bitter. "I embarrassed you? Victoria, I didn't make that video. I didn't tell anyone anything. Daniel recognized me. He shared his own story." "You could have asked him to take it down." "Why would I do that?" "Because," she sputtered, "because it makes me look bad." "No," I said quietly. "It makes you think about how you've treated me. There's a difference." "I knew it. You've always been jealous." "I gave you $50,000, I interrupted. 5 years ago. Do you remember that?" Another silence, longer this time. "I remember," she said finally, her voice smaller. "You've never mentioned it. Not once. You just sold your company for $8 million, and you didn't even invite me to celebrate. You seated me at the kids' table at your own party. You told strangers I was too attached to my car. The car I kept because I couldn't afford a new one after I gave you my house down payment." I heard her breathing on the other end. "I didn't know," she whispered. "Yes, you did. You just didn't care." She showed up at my apartment on Wednesday night. No warning, no text. Just knocked on my door holding a bottle of wine and looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Can I come in?" I almost said no. But she was crying, and despite everything, some part of me still remembered the little girl who'd crawled into my bed during thunderstorms. We sat on my worn couch, and she looked around my small space like she was really seeing it for the first time. "I didn't realize," she started. "I mean, I knew, but I didn't understand. What you gave up, what you did for me." "I didn't want you to feel guilty," I said. "I wanted you to just remember, acknowledge it." "I got so caught up," she continued, tears streaming down her face. "In the success, in the money, in becoming someone. I forgot where I came from. I forgot who helped me get there." She looked at me. "I forgot who I was, who we were." "You called my car embarrassing." "I know." She covered her face with her hands. "God, Sarah, I know. I'm so ashamed. You know what's funny? Horrible funny? That car represents everything I should be proud of. Not the mansion, not the fancy party. You, in that car, being a genuinely good person. That's what matters." I didn't say anything. "I want to pay you back," she said, "with interest, with everything I should have given you years ago." "I don't want your money, Vic." "Then what do you want?" I thought about it, about Daniel and his family, about all the people I'd helped who'd never forgotten, about the life I'd built quietly, without fanfare, that somehow meant more than I'd realized. "I want my sister back," I said finally. "The real one, not whoever that was at your party." It didn't happen overnight. Victoria couldn't just flip a switch and undo years of growing apart, of priorities shifting, of success changing her. But she tried. She wrote me a check for $80,000, the loan plus interest. I took it, but not for me. I put it into a fund for Daniel's family and others like them, small businesses that needed a break. She showed up at the nonprofit where I volunteered and asked if she could help, started mentoring young entrepreneurs from underserved communities, used her connections for good instead of just for show. We had coffee every Sunday. Awkward at first, then easier. She told me about the pressure she'd felt, the imposter syndrome, the desperate need to prove she belonged in her new world. I told her about the loneliness of being forgotten, of watching her succeed and feeling invisible. We were rebuilding, Slowly. The viral video had one more unexpected consequence. The nonprofit I volunteered with got a flood of donations and volunteer applications. They asked me to lead a new initiative, a program to provide free financial literacy and business consulting to low-income communities. It came with a salary, a real one, enough that I could finally start saving for that house again. "You should get a new car," James said one Saturday as we grabbed lunch. "Something nice. You can afford it now." I looked out the window at my Civic, parked on the street. Reliable, practical, a little beat up, but it got me where I needed to go. "Maybe eventually," I said. "But honestly, I kind of love that car now." He laughed. "Because of the video?" "Because of what it represents. Priorities, choices, helping someone I love, even when it cost me something." I smiled. "That's not embarrassing. That's the best thing I've ever done." 6 months later, Victoria invited me to dinner. Not a party, just dinner. At a small restaurant downtown, the kind of place we used to go to with Mom. She was already seated when I arrived, and she looked nervous. "I have something for you," she said after we'd ordered. She slid a folder across the table. Inside were legal documents. It took me a moment to understand what I was looking at. "You're making me a partner?" I whispered. "Retroactive," she said. "You should have been one from the beginning. My lawyer went through everything. This is what you would have earned if I'd given you equity instead of treating your loan like it didn't matter. It's not just about the money, Sarah. It's about recognition. It's about what you deserve." I felt tears prick my eyes. "I can't change the past," Victoria continued. "I can't take back what I said or how I made you feel. But I can do better now. We can do better together." I looked at my sister, really looked at her. She wasn't perfect, neither was I. But she was trying. We were both trying. "Together," I agreed. We raised our wine glasses, and through the restaurant window, I could see my Honda Civic parked on the street. A little old, a little worn, but still running strong. Just like us. Epilogue. The local paper did a follow-up story a year later. From viral video to community impact, how one woman's quiet generosity sparked a movement. They photographed me outside Daniel's family's newest store location. Daniel was there, of course, and his mother, Maria, who hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Victoria was there too, dressed simply, smiling genuinely. And yes, they photographed the Civic. "Are you ever going to get a new car?" the reporter asked. I looked at it, this car that had become accidentally symbolic, and smiled. "You know what? Probably not. This one has good memories now." "Even after everything?" she pressed. "After your sister's comments went viral?" "Especially after that," I said. "It taught me something important. Success isn't about what you drive or where you live. It's about who you help along the way. It's about the person you choose to be when no one's watching. And honestly, I like who I am. Honda Civic and all." Victoria stepped closer, putting her arm around me. "For the record," she said to the reporter, "my sister's car isn't embarrassing. I was embarrassing, but she was gracious enough to help me become someone better." Later, after the interviews and photos were done, Victoria and I sat in that old Civic together. I'd offered to drive her home. "Remember when we were kids?" she said, as I navigated the familiar streets. "And Mom would drive us to the beach in her station wagon?" "The one with the broken AC and the tape deck," I said, smiling. "We thought it was the greatest car in the world. It got us where we needed to go." Victoria looked over at me. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, "for all of it, for forgetting what matters." "I know," I said. "I forgive you." And I meant it, because revenge isn't about destroying someone. Real revenge, the kind that actually heals, is about showing someone who they could be, who they really are beneath the mistakes and the ego and the fear. Victoria saw who she'd become in that viral video's mirror, and she chose to be different. That was better than any dramatic confrontation or public shaming could ever be. As for me, I got my sister back. I found meaningful work that fed my soul. I built a community of people who valued what I valued, and I kept my embarrassing car. Because it turns out the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to be ashamed of living according to your own values, even when someone you love tries to make you feel small, especially then. I pulled up to Victoria's house. She'd sold the mansion, bought something more modest, and she paused before getting out. "Same time next Sunday?" she asked. "Coffee and ketchup?" "Wouldn't miss it." She hugged me, and for the first time in years, it felt like hugging my real sister. I drove home in my 12-year-old Honda Civic, windows down, radio playing, feeling richer than I'd ever felt in my life. Because I'd learned the truth. You can't buy back integrity, you can't lease respect, and you can't finance authenticity. Those things you just have to earn. One choice at a time, one day at a time, one embarrassing car at a time.